Welcome back to the Michael Cohen Show on our continued journey to 250,000 subscribers. And first, I want to thank each and every one of you for making this happen. As you can see, this is the Michael Cohen Show. We passed our, of course, 100,000 subscribers. In fact, we're at 260 plus thousand on our way to the 500,000 and then the million, where they then send you a wonderful gold one. So subscribe, watch, comment. I want your comments and share with friends because, again, every day there's going to be some chaos. Now, yesterday, Tulsi Gabbard was sworn in. Yeah, I know. Nobody thought it was going to happen. I did. But she was. She was sworn in as Director of National Intelligence. And of course, Trump being there, used that as an opportunity to speak to the press. Now, the Russia-Ukraine war was top of mind, especially after Pete Hegseth announced yesterday that Ukraine would not, let me repeat, would not be allowed into NATO. Now, literally, as we are doing this take, there is new news that just came out regarding President Volodymyr Zelenskyy saying that he will not accept terms that are discussed between Trump and Putin, especially when he's not even there at the meeting. Here's what he said. Zelenskyy says Ukraine will not accept U.S.-Russia peace deal without Kiev's involvement. Do you blame him? Goes on to say, President Volodymyr Zelenskyy said that Ukraine will not accept a peace deal struck between the United States and Russia without Kiev's involvement. And I quote, as an independent country, we simply cannot accept any agreements without us. And I articulate this very clearly to our partners. We will not accept any bilateral negotiations on Ukraine without us, Zelenskyy said literally just now during a visit to a nuclear power plant in Western Ukraine. His comments came a day after U.S. President Donald Trump spoke on the phone with his Russian counterpart, Vladimir Putin, before he also held a call with Zelenskyy. Zelenskyy said that the fact that Trump spoke to Putin first was not pleasant. He added that talks with Russia should take place only after a plan to stop Putin has been worked out. Makes perfect sense to me. And so a reporter asked if Hegseth's comments made negotiations between Russia and Ukraine more complicated. Play the clip.
Do you think that as far as your negotiating tactics go, did Pete Hegseth take away some of your negotiating abilities with Putin by taking Ukraine's sovereign integrity off the table, by taking...
No, I haven't done that. I'm backing Ukraine. I'm backing Ukraine. Don't say that.
Yes, say that, because he is not backing Ukraine. And we're going to show you some clips that prove it. But just in case you're not 100% sure, Trump was also asked if Ukraine was an equal player in these peace agreements. Play that clip.
Do you expect Ukraine?
Say it, what?
Do you view Ukraine as an equal member of this peace process?
It's an interesting question. I think they have to make peace. Their people are being killed, and I think they have to make peace.
We will continue to...
I said that was not a good war to go into, and I think they have to make peace. That's what I think.
Why did you decide to provide support?
Okay, let me also say the following. As of January 17th of 2025, according to the official website of Ukraine, 839,040 Russian soldiers to date have been killed in this war. That is not an inconsequential number. In fact, many of their families back in Russia have no idea where their loved ones are. It got so bad at one point, they had to bring in mobile crematoriums. Russia brought in mobile crematoriums in order to dispose of the bodies because there was no time within which to bury them properly. So when Trump turns around and says Ukraine must stop, too many people are dying, Russia must stop too. But Trump also then spoke about the possibility of Ukraine returning to its 2014 border. They asked him that question. Here's the answer. So play the clip.
Sir, just to be clear, do you see any future in which Ukraine returns to its pre-2014 borders?
Well, I think Pete said today that that's unlikely, right? It certainly would seem to be unlikely. They took a lot of land, and they fought for that land, and they lost a lot of soldiers. But it would just seem to me, and I'm not making an opinion on it, but I've read a lot on it, and a lot of people think that that's unlikely. Some of it will come back. I think some of it will come back. Yeah, some of that land will come back.
When the President of the United States makes a statement, it's called an opinion. And in this specific case, he was honoring Pete Hegseth's comment that it is improbable that the 2014 Ukraine border would ever come back. Now, someone in that crowd asked Trump if he was actually squeezing out President Zelenskyy. This is what he had to say. Play the clip.
Are you freezing out President Zelenskyy of this process a bit? Isn't there a danger of that?
No, I don't think so, as long as he's there. But, you know, at some point you're going to have elections, too. You're going to have an election.
Okay. I want you to see what he's doing there. First and foremost, Zelenskyy is not invited to this initial meeting, but he is being told by the President of the United States that they have to walk away from the 2014 border and that they have to make peace. And I want to remind each and every one of you that it was not Ukraine who started this war. Trump was then also asked if he was in danger of handing Russia a win. Play the clip.
The things that the Secretary of Defense was talking about, the 2014 borders and the lack of NATO membership, ultimately these are both demands that Russia has made in the past. Is there not a danger of handing Russia a kind of win on this?
Well, I think that if you look at the war, the way the war is going, you'll have to make your own determination. I'm just here to try and get peace. I don't care so much about anything other than I want to stop having millions of people killed. Last night, you know, Kiev got hit very, very hard. I want to see people stop getting killed. That war is ridiculous. It should have never happened, and it would have never happened. Yeah, a couple of more questions.
Once again, I acknowledge, just like President Trump does, that I don't want to see a single person killed, especially, and I'm going to agree with him a second time, over a stupid war. No one's really 100% certain what this war is even about. Is it about Vladimir Putin wanting to bring the USSR back? Is it about oil that's located in Crimea? Is it about, I don't know, the vegetation of Ukraine being always and historically known as the breadbasket of Eastern Europe? Don't know. All we know is that Russia invaded Ukraine. And I agree with Trump. The war is stupid and it must stop. I'm just not sure handing Russia a win at this time is the right way to go. Now, Trump then also speaks about planning a meeting with Putin. Play that clip.
Dealing with President Putin largely on the phone, and we ultimately expect to meet. In fact, we expect that he'll come here and I'll go there, and we're going to meet also probably in Saudi Arabia. The first time we'll meet in Saudi Arabia, see if we can get something done. But we want to end that war. That war is a disaster.
Again, it goes right back to the question, how? How? Are you just going to turn around and tell Putin, which I suspect, that the United States is not going to continue to assist Ukraine in this war, whether it's with armaments or with money? No idea. What we do know is that Pete Hegseth was crystal clear that he would never allow U.S. military to become engaged in this war. Trump also announced that he wants to get rid of the Department of Education soon. Like I said, these press conferences, they become a smorgasbord of questions. Play the clip.
How soon do you want the Department of Education to be closed?
Oh, I'd like it to be closed immediately. Look, the Department of Education's a big con job.
Yeah. In fact, today, Linda McMahon actually has her hearings taking place. And it's funny because what's the point then to have the secretary to the Department of Education if the intent is to rid it altogether? It just doesn't make much sense. There's so much more to Department of Education than what people are talking about. A lot of people are talking about, oh, the curriculum or the types of books that are being used. That's not solely what the Department of Education is about. What about the issuance of Pell Grants? What about the issuance of stipends that go to public schools and so on and so forth? What about student grants? All of this is handled by the DOE. And if you get rid of them, what happens to that? Does anybody know what the number of students in public universities who receive some form of financial aid? It's an enormous number. It's something like a little bit over 70%. What happens to all those students? What happens to the universities? You know, when listening to all this, I was reminded of Trump's campaign speech because, you know, during a lot of those speeches, he said a lot of nonsensical ramblings. I mean, you know, he just goes off script and it almost becomes entertaining. He rambled, for example, at one point about federal workers. Now, I want to be clear, just because he's rambling and just because what he's saying is nonsensical doesn't mean that he can't pull it off with the execution of an executive order in a Sharpie, like what he just did with the federal workers. Play the clip.
We have a massive bureaucracy in Washington, D.C. We have buildings that are all over the city. Department of Education. I never said Department of Education's on all these buildings. By the way, nobody shows up to work because they're all working at home. You know, quote, working at home. They're not working at home. And a lot of them have second jobs. And that's the other thing that Elon Musk is looking at. How many of these people are getting checks, working at home, but they're not working because they have second jobs and even third jobs? You're going to find a lot of them. And those people are going to be fired because we have to make our government smaller. All right.
Yeah. Look, I'm not going to argue with Trump as it relates to, I'm certain people take advantage of that system. There's no doubt in my mind. How many? That we don't know. No different than when Trump put out $3 trillion. Remember, $3 trillion COVID relief? $1 trillion is still missing. $1 trillion missing. You know how many people took advantage of that COVID relief package, including his own son-in-law, for like $13 million? You know how many people that I've heard of turn around and say stupid shit like, well, you know, my accountant told me that I'm entitled to do it, and so nobody's really checking, so I did. And I said, well, what did you do with all the money? I bought a fucking Bugatti. Way to take advantage of the system, right? Then Trump goes on and he starts rambling about fraud. Play that clip.
The billions of dollars that they're giving to, and it doesn't make sense. It is interesting that when you're looking for fraud, you look at items, hundreds of items, and you'll find one or two, maybe, if you're lucky. Here's something where you look at data, and they're all fraudulent. You know, by just looking at the topic, they're all fraudulent, except it's the opposite. You'll find one or two that's like a legitimate reason. So I just want to thank Elon for...
Yeah, again, take a look at PPP. Take a look at, for example, all of the COVID relief package money that was sent out to businesses so that they didn't have to fire people. What if those businesses during COVID were actually making money and they didn't need it, but they said, fuck it. Government's giving away free money because there's nobody at home checking what's going on. You just put that shit into the computer and boom, a week later, you're getting a check with Trump's signature on it, but you're getting a big check. He then goes on and he starts rambling now about planes. Play that clip.
And instead of using hydraulic, like on tractors that can handle anything from hurricanes to lightning to anything, they use magnets. It's a new theory. Magnets are going to lift the planes up, and it doesn't work. And they had billions and billions of dollars of cost overruns. I met the architect. I said, have you designed a ship before? This is one of the biggest ships in the world. It's like landing at LaGuardia Airport. But you look at the kind of waste, fraud, and abuse that this country is going through, and we have to straighten it out. We have great people.
By the way, once again, I'm not going to argue with him. The waste, the fraud, the abuse, this is not something that's new. This is not something that all of a sudden Trump brings in Elon Musk and there you have it. We now know what's going on. Let's not forget, we've read articles about $10,000 screwdrivers and $25,000 toilet seats. At least finally something is being done. My only concern is why tear something down before which you have something to replace it with? Because who then is left with nothing? You and me, the American people. And as always, thanks for listening. Hey, everyone. First of all, thanks for watching. I mean, we're going to be posting daily episodes with reactions and talking about politics. We'll be talking about everything, in fact. So please like and subscribe. Join us on this journey.